From the Cactus, KCTS-FM Phoenix, I'm Jamison Greenwood with Greenwood & Company. Well, I hope everybody's been having a good week. Halloween is less than a week away now, and I'm sure many of us are going to parties this weekend and maybe next weekend as well. I had a fun evening costume bowling with some church friends of mine last night, but I was thinking back to the time when a mysterious force, or mysterious voice rather, that we could not comprehend where it came from, entered its way into Brew-Beck's coffee shop one strange Halloween night. Though I don't gorge on candy for Halloween as much as I did when I was a kid, one tradition I can't do without is the ritual carving of jack-o'-lanterns. The grubby slime can sometimes get to me, but like a drawing or a poem or a made-from-scratch dinner, the sight of a candle burning in a funny-faced fruit you've designed, even with its pulp piled on a nearby copy of the Arizona Republic, gives a sense you've created something of worth, and spooky season would be nothing without them. When I was a kid, I would carve pumpkins with my parents and sister. Then, when I went up to HCU, I started carving pumpkins with Colton, Heather, and Annabelle, and one Halloween, with the chaplain Jorge and his wife Kelly, in a fellowship hall at St. Edward's Episcopal Church. The chaplain Jorge told us of a strange man who once lived in Pine Bow. There was this guy named Gustav Edgar who used to host wonderful Halloween parties at his two-story Victorian mansion in the north part of town, across the street from Pine Bow Baptist Church. Every Halloween, Gustav would bring Pine Bow's citizens together for the biggest Halloween party, featuring a maze of scary masks and funhouse-type equipment that he rented and set up along the stairwells and in the hallways. But that was a mere footnote compared to what the chaplain revealed next. Gustav loved Halloween so much that he asked for an open casket funeral and that he be embalmed with his eyes wide open and his tongue sticking out. Mr. Ibsen told me about that, Colton added. He said it made him look a lot more dead than he already was. Now, I have heard of some unusual death traditions. Jonathan Swift mentioned in Gulliver's Travels that the Lilliputians bury their dead head down so that they can raise up when the world turns upside down, but that was nothing compared to Gustav. I guess that was the end of the Halloween parties, I said. Well, Brew-Beck's kind of took over for him in a way, Heather said as she traced the comedy and tragedy masks onto the front of her pumpkin with a Sharpie. What do you mean? I asked. We do a Halloween party every year. Everyone dresses up, Colton said. We have spider webs and pumpkins. I'm going to play my sax with Chris and Dana, Annabelle added. That sounds fun. Being in love with Annabelle, I wanted to say, I'm there, but I wasn't ready to confess I felt that way about her. So who's everybody going to dress up as? Heather wanted to know. I think I'll go as Mario, said Colton. Heather and I haven't decided yet, said Annabelle. We like to go as related stuff. Last year we went as Elsa and Anna. What about you, Jimmy? Heather asked. I hadn't thought of it. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for Halloween. I had no idea where to find a costume. I looked at pictures on the wall of Reverend Charles Orrin, St. Edward's immediate past rector, and thought, I could go as a pastor, get a black shirt and a clerical, but I don't want to get in trouble for impersonating clergy. You go as Larry King, said Heather. Yeah, Colton added. You always wear suspenders to church, you wear glasses, you're a newsreader for the radio station? Well, I do have some suspenders and a lot of ties, so I guess it could work. I continued to debate a number of options, such as Bob Ross or Mr. Rogers, but when I waited till the last minute and found the costume stores empty, I established that I would go as Larry King. Dressed in big glasses, a tie and suspenders, along with an ID and a lanyard with his picture and the CNN logo I made in Photoshop, I walked to Brew-Beck's on Halloween night. The coffee shop, of course, was all decorated with spider webs, jack-o'-lanterns, and little spiders, ghosts and ghouls and other such things. Colton had grown a mustache to dress up as Mario, while Heather and Annabelle took an anime approach. Heather dressed as Nami from One Piece, complete with the Klimatact strapped to her right leg, and Annabelle looked particularly beautiful as Sailor Moon, complete with white gloves over her forearms and the pink sapphire hair clips. Now, if there are any dedicated Sailor Moon fans out there listening, I did not call her Meatball Head. I'm not super familiar with Sailor Moon, but I have sense enough not to call her Meatball Head. Plus, she looked too beautiful, like always, to call her such a name anyhow. "Hi, Jimmy," Colton called. I soon went to Colton, who was at the counter serving Mr. Ibsen, Brew-Beck's owner, his wife Madison, and another older man whom I didn't recognize. He wasn't quite as old as Mr. Ibsen, whose age I am unsure of, but I think he may have babysat Lyndon Johnson, though he was certainly older than Madison, who is possibly younger than Colton, Heather, and I, being his 12th wife. Madison had dressed as Cruella de Vil, complete with black and white wig, while Mr. Ibsen wore his seedy sport coat, and while the third gentleman was not in a costume, he had a very nice Halloween tie with cheerful jack-o'-lanterns upon it. "This is Jimmy Greenwood," Mr. Ibsen introduced me. "He does the jazz radio show." "Wonderful to meet you, Mr. Greenwood," or should I say Larry King, the man whose name was Garth chuckled. Having a shaved head, I expected him to start impersonating James Carville, but he gave no hint of a Nolans accent. "I listen to Jazz Bookstore all the time. Takes me back to when I was alive. I mean, younger." We laughed at his joke as Annabelle was playing Mac the Knife with Chris LaCroix and Dana Cruz. Then she shifted to Old Black Magic. Then after a brief intermission, Annabelle asked me to do an experiment with her. "Jimmy, I'm going to do a jazzed-up version of Thriller by Michael Jackson. Can you sneak behind the stage and do the evil Vincent Price laugh at the end?" I agreed and snuck behind the stage as she began the song, where Annabelle did some excellent audio acrobatics, some of which were quite frightening from this pastiche, and because jazz is improvised, it was difficult to tell when Annabelle and her friends were finished. But eventually, I was able to discern drawn-out applause, so I took a deep breath and went, A silence punctuated by a few gasps filled the room, telling me I'd done well. But then a second series of evil laughs came out of the air that I cannot explain. Annabelle didn't know this, of course, so she calls through the air and says, "Okay, Jimmy, you can stop now." Then she laughed a bit, and I said, "Annabelle, that was not me." "What?" She was puzzled. "That second one was not me. I don't know where it came from. I also don't know if I've frightened you half to death, but if you need a little reprieve, we have to take a short break now, but we'll continue and try to figure out where that laugh was coming from when we come back from these very gracious advertisements for our sponsors." You are listening to Greenwood and Company on KCTS. Are Halloween terrors making it hard for you to sleep at night? Well, don't put garlic all over your nightstand. Ask your doctor about Wishalozoid, the new 2-step sleep aid. The pumpkin orange outer layer makes you calm and lets you drift away to sleep. And if fear of vampires and witches keeps waking you up, the soot black core is just what you need. It might make your gory nightmares 10 times worse, but it keeps your eyes closed and your mind trapped in your dark fantasies until the morning light. So even if you're poring over your nightmares at work, you at least get restful quality sleep with Wishalozoid. Do not take Wishalozoid if you have hypertension, are allergic to any of its ingredients, or have died within the last 6 to 12 months. However, if you have any of these, see if you can get a prescription anyway. Women who are nursing, pregnant, or planning to become pregnant should talk with their doctor before starting Wishalozoid due to risk of birthing a werewolf. The most common side effect is sleepwalking, often to gorge on Halloween candy. Dosing of Wishalozoid may be different if you are a zombie or have family history of zombification. Ask your doctor if Wishalozoid is right for you. And welcome back. You are listening to Greenwood and Company on the Cactus, KCTS. Now, before the break, we were talking a little bit about a version of Thriller by Michael Jackson that Annabelle had done and asked me to help out on the evil laugh. But there were 2 or 3 evil laughs that had occurred, only one of which was done by me, but we couldn't figure out what the other one was coming from. Soon after, one of the taps on the coffee urns behind the counter, perhaps the decaf one, strangely came on. The urn spilled coffee all over the floor, and Colton was able to shut it off, but we had no idea what had happened, and fearing ghosts, everybody scurried out of the shop. Colton and Heather were holding on to each other, and Annabelle and I were holding on to each other, which had its pluses, but the inexplicable fright held firm with the hoot of the owls and the wind blowing across the reed and keys of Annabelle's saxophone. Then we saw Mr. Ibsen, his wife Madison, and Garth, whom we had met earlier. We described the strange evil laughter to them, along with the mysterious coffee leak. Old Ibby thought for a moment, then explained.
"Oh, yeah, that's happened every year since Mr. Beck got hit by that freight train back in '87. It's nothing to worry about."
"I'm not going back in there," Heather proclaimed. "Who knows what's going on?" "Do you suppose we should call for the police?" I wondered. Then Garth stepped forward. "If it would ease your minds, I'll go in and check. I've got a special touch in detecting ghosts." This seemed questionable to us, but we agreed just to try it, and Garth walked in. We watched as his shaved head disappeared in the door, looking all around the dining room and the stage. Then he went back to the kitchen, the stockroom, and the office, and even into the small apartment above Brew-Beck's, which, despite its close proximity, was not attached to the nearby Madison Hotel.
"Is he inspecting for ghosts, or is he doing a building inspection?"
Mr. Ibsen wondered. Garth was in the shop for an extended period of time. Annabelle then turned her sax to the right angle for the wind to make it whistle slightly, startling her, and she grabbed hold of me, at which point I happily grabbed her back. Soon Garth emerged from Brew-Beck's coffee shop, the bell on the door pinging as it closed behind him. "All clear. No ghosts. You're safe to go back in. Just remember to mop up the decaf."
"Well, happy Halloween, all," Mr. Ibsen said. "Time for me to go home and go to bed. Good night, Plumber, and Karate Girl, and Spice Girl, and Larry King."
He and Madison drifted off, and Colton turned to me. "At least he gave you a name." "Sad he had no idea who any of us were," Heather lamented. "Have a good night, old Ibby," Garth said. Then Garth got a black Homburg he'd come into Brew-Beck's with and donned it on his head, a small jack-o'-lantern pin buttoned to the ribbon. "Happy Halloween, everybody." "Did you need a ride home, Garth?" Heather asked. "No," he shook his head. "I drove myself. Car's just down that way." Garth gestured to a car that had caught my eye earlier, but I had no idea whose it was. A mint-condition 1971 Cadillac Sedan DeVille, complete with chrome and the modern-esque V-shaped wreath underscoring the Cadillac coat of arms. Not wanting to step out into the street, Garth decided to open the passenger door and slide across the long bench seat to the driver's side. However, what struck me as odd was that the door looked like it had hit the nearby street lamp, but the street lamp strangely passed through it, and neither the door nor the lamp were scathed. I turned to Annabelle to ask if she saw it, but she didn't notice me because just after Garth started up the car, it drove right through a Chevy Cavalier, Heather and Annabelle's Subaru, along with a Jeep Cherokee that were all parked along San Jose Avenue, with none of the cars getting even a scratch. The Cadillac then passed through Edgerton Avenue, then turned right, which we realized was right in the direction of Gustav's house, the man who held the famous Halloween parties and had his bulging eyes shown at his open casket funeral. "Guys," Colton asked, "didn't Ibby say Gustav drove a Cadillac?" "The ghost of Gustav," Heather gasped. "Was Garth the ghost of Gustav?" I think the fact he had to correct himself from saying, "It reminds me of when I was alive, I mean young," was a dead giveaway, but I guess we'll never know. You are listening to Greenwood and Company on KCTS. Everyone loves a great credit card until you max it out, and those interest payments can ruin your life. That's where Forest Canyon Bank and Trust comes in with the brand new Forest Canyon Unlimited Platinum Credit Card. It's unlimited credit with unlimited interest. Need a shopping spree at Saks Fifth Avenue? Not a problem. Need a new Ferrari and a Cadillac Escalade? We got you covered. Need a dilapidated vacation home in Napa Valley with $100K worth of plumbing problems and even more in needed renovations? Unlimited Platinum Credit is the card for you. You may never pay it off, and your kids and grandkids will get so pissed at you for the burden of the soul-crushing debt they'll inherit. But with your unlimited credit, thanks to the Forest Canyon Unlimited Platinum Credit Card, you can buy whatever you need to keep up with the Joneses whenever you need it. So why wait? Apply for the Forest Canyon Unlimited Platinum Debit Card today. Tell them Ranger Powell needs some help with his balance. Forest Canyon Unlimited Platinum Credit Card is not available in California, Connecticut, Maryland, or New York State. Forest Canyon Bank and Trust is not insured by the FDIC and could put you at risk of criminal prosecution. I don't think the ugliest ghost or goblin scares me more than that credit card offer at Forest Canyon. Never mind. Forest Canyon Bank and Trust, we're grateful for their support, along with the support that is provided to Greenwood and Company and the Cactus, KCTS, of the Society for Cats with Mathematics Test Anxiety, the Shag Carpet Preservation Fund, and the Used Car Salesman Plaid Sport Coat Foundation. Well, as many people get ready for Halloween, there's often scary things that come across, but every once in a while you'll find a very friendly sort of ghost or goblin or jack-o'-lantern on Halloween, which is why I wanted to celebrate those things in this week's poem, The Friendly Faces of Halloween. The night is all black and the children all stroll, in their kooky disguises, their buckets in tow, to collect morsels sweet from each house's front door, though the fright of some homes seems too much to ignore. Then a house they approach along Englewood Drive, not nearly so haunted, but bright and alive. The porch light is on, and 2 candles shine bright, from behind pumpkin faces, casting smiling a light. Then they press on the bell near the double front door, which is opened by someone the children adore, a bespectacled lady with curly gray hair, and her soft kitty cat nearby purring, Pierre. Grandma smiles for the grandkids who scream trick-or-treat, though there's more than just candy these children will eat. Grandma hugs both the grandkids, invites them inside to come back to the kitchen where waits a surprise. On the counter a number of snacks and delights, well suited for having on Halloween night. Little marshmallow ghosts, candy witches on sticks, and 4 fresh frosted cookies from which you can pick. Some are green witch-faced cookies with black pointy hats, others sport purple whiskers on little black cats, but their favorites are orange with little green stems. Grandma's pumpkin-shaped cookies are smiling at them. The kids sip ginger ales while Grandma drinks tea. Grandma tells them the tale of the Halloween tree. While this tale of Ray Bradbury triggers some fright, it's in moments like this that these children delight, eating Grandma's fresh cookies, their door-to-door loot, as they sit in their nylon facsimile suits. That brings an end to this week's Greenwood and Company. Our show was created and hosted by yours truly and was written by him along with James Salison and Minnesota Martinez. The engineer is Ivan Crosby. Jonas Andrews answers the phones even though we don't take calls on this program. The theme was composed by Martin Landstrom, and our costumes are provided by Grandma's Garage Thrift Shop. All the characters, settings, and situations depicted in this program, along with all advertised products, are entirely fictional, and any similarities to products, events, or persons, living or dead, is entirely coincidental. Also, KCTS is not an actual radio station. Be sure to visit our website at JamisonGreenwoodPodcast.com to learn more about Greenwood and Company, and make sure to follow us on the podcast platform of your choice and share with your friends on social media. Just a reminder to please be careful if you are going out on the 101, the 17, or Route 66 tonight. I'm Jamison Greenwood, and until we meet again, stay healthy, stay safe, and stay young at heart. Good night. This is KCTS FM Phoenix. Stay tuned for Lacking in Substance.